Okay, so we're going to go over some additional context so you can be as successful as you possibly can on this lesson. So first off, you have some pictures here with some captions as well as vocabulary word. What we're looking at is this idea of a tribute system. Now, we've talked about this word before. We should hopefully remember what it means. If you don't, that's also okay. Tribute is basically payment sent to like show that you're dependent on them, right? So if one huge country or empire comes in and takes over a bunch of places, what they then demand is tribute from these places they've taken over to basically be like, okay, you belong to us now, pay us so that you can like live under us, basically. What we looked at not even last week, oh gosh, 2 weeks ago, because right, alternating weeks. So this might be a little, I can't even think of words today. This might be a little like not fresh in your brain, and that's okay. When we looked at how the Inca managed their empire, we looked at this idea of a bureaucracy, which is that same thing of like we have the one at the top, and then that one at the top splits into like uh, leaders of specific things, and then within each of those leaders, they have like departments that handle very specialized, like one particular thing. So there'd be like the emperor, and then beneath him, there'd be like some core advisors, and each of those advisors would take care of something different. So one would be like infrastructure, so like making bridges and roads and all that. Another might be of war, so just handling like fighting and defense. Another might be of like farming and just like making sure that the food is created and provided for. We also looked at that and compared it to like the U.S. briefly, and saw that it's kind of a similar system. So what we're trying to connect now is if that's how their government worked, well then how could this government take advantage of their economy, right, the ways they make money, to shift and make sure that everybody living in the empire gets the stuff that they need. The way we're going to look at that is you have a number of sources, as always, shocking. It'll alternate between doing some hip stuff, so like identify the sourcing information, and then giving me like the central idea, how it ties back into what it is we're talking about. So as you read at the sources, instead of getting bogged down and caught up on certain things, like in certain words you might understand, always come back to how does this relate to money and jobs, and then how does that help people to survive? Right, those two bits. I'll say it one more time in case you missed it. Number one, I always think, how does this relate to the Inca economy? So how they make money, their jobs, all of that stuff. And then secondly, how does that then meet a need, right? So it could be a need for food, it could be a need for water, it could be a need for safety, right? If you keep those two things in mind, you should be set, right? Because that's really the whole heart of this question. So, as always, if you have questions, reach out via Google Classroom. You can make a private comment. The other way that you can do it, and I'm not sure if you have the option, but I know that I am able to make a comment onto the Pear Deck slide. So directly onto that slide, so I can give you feedback on some of your answers. So check back in here and there on your slide, and hopefully you'll see some responses. Okay? Good luck.